This sporting great was one half of the most successful South American imports to be seen in English football. He delighted the country with his ball skills on the pitch and his charm off it. As well as helping his own country to winning the World Cup, he spurred his side on to winning ways at Wembley, where his knees didn't go trembly. He is Ossie Ardiles. Ossie, let's begin by explaining the trembly knees. It wasn't an injury we're talking about here. It was a song.
It was a song, yes. Not the best song that I ever recorded.
And Ossie, what was your contribution to this song? What was the line that you made famous in this song?
The line was something like in the cup for Tottenham. Again, not something that I feel particularly proud of.
Ossie, we're gonna be behind you, all together, man for man. We know you're gonna play a blinder
in the cup for Tottenham.
We all know you as Ossie, but what is your full name?
Osvaldo.
Osvaldo?
Yes, and Ossie is the diminutive of Osvaldo.
Yes. Do you have a middle name?
Cesar.
Very regal.
Yes.
Osvaldo Cesar Ardiles. Now, Ossie, born in Argentina, where exactly were you born, and tell us about your upbringing?
I was born in Cordoba. Cordoba is the second city of Argentina, quite big. It will be more or less the size of Birmingham in England. I was born in my father was a lawyer, so in kind of a middle-class family. From that point of view, I was not a very typical Argentinian player.
So your dad was a lawyer then. How did you get into football? I mean, did your dad not intend you to be a lawyer as well?
Definitely. In fact, my father never played football in his life, and didn't particularly like myself playing football. For a fun, fine. But of course, the number one thing for me was to study all the time. I was quite good in the study part, so he didn't mind that I was playing football all the time.
When you were studying, did you think about football?
I thought about football all the time, but I didn't have a lot of encouragement from my family. Of course, my father saw that in Argentina I was not going to go very far playing football. So all the time study was the number one part of my life, right until university days. And suddenly, because I became a national team member, then football is starting to be bigger and bigger.
Yeah. And we, of course, in this country, remember that World Cup, the Argentinian side, 1978, and the thing that we all remember is ticker tape coming, colour, carnival. What a festival it all turned out to be. But yet, you were not a natural member of that national team. There was a bit of controversy about you being chosen.
I was a very natural member of the team. The controversy that you are referring is when I went into the national team, everything was for kind of acclamation, no problem. But after that, when I was playing in the national team, particularly in 1977, I didn't have a particularly good time, and it was another player that was having in my position that was playing very well. So of course, it was a lot of popular belief that she should be playing and not me. So I did receive a lot of criticism. But coming 1978, I then was playing very well again, so I didn't have any criticism, say, in the actual World Cup.
Menotti was the manager.
Yes.
He was the boy that smoked all the time, wasn't he?
He's responsible for my smoking as well, unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, I mean, he really broke the mould. What sort of manager was he like to play under?
He was a very good manager. Probably he was a person that influenced my career more than anybody else. He was a kind of manager that wanted to give you as much confidence as possible. Basically, you have to make the decision in the pitch, know him, and he will give you a lot of freedom to play inside the pitch. So I was pretty happy with him.
His name was Cesar as well, wasn't
Cesar
it?
as well, yes.
Yeah, everybody in Argentina calls Cesar.
No.
The World Cup dream, I mean, having made it into the squad and come the big tournament, it didn't go too well. There was an injury that you picked up early on.
Yes, in the second game, I broke one of my toes. I carry on playing after I play nearly every game, but the pain was very bad. I had to play with two injection, kind of anesthetic in my foot. So somehow I lasted every game for 60, 70 minutes. That was a big something that because obviously I was very, very happy to win the World Cup and I played quite well as well, but I would have loved to be, say, 100%.
Fully fit.
Fully fit,
But,
yes.
but it says a lot about you that you were determined to be there and not to miss that final.
No.
What was it like playing in a World Cup final in your home country?
It was wonderful. It was really wonderful. It was the biggest game in my life. I remember being incredibly nervous, not only me, but everybody. And again, I regretted not to be 100% fit. But after saying that, I said, well, I had to do my absolute best for Argentina for us to win the game.
Powering through at Kemper. Oh, Youngwood saved it and it's gone in! Bertoni, Kempes. Bertoni! 3-1.
Luckily, at the end of the day, we won the game, and winning the game was ecstasy, was a relief as well, because somehow we did what we had to do. That it wasn't easy.
How old were you then, Ossie?
I was 23,
Yeah.
very young.
And what was it like then to pick up that medal, to hold a World Cup winner's medal and to know that you were playing in the best team in the world?
It was wonderful. Very difficult to explain. Just a wonderful feeling. Especially to win it in your own country. Of course, everybody was, this is what they wanted to win the World Cup, nothing else. But to win the World Cup in your own country, it was really, really wonderful.
And it was so romantic, I think, for people watching, people in this country. As I say, it just seemed to be one big festival. And then the amazing thing was, I mean, we looked in awe at what was going on in Argentina. And then the amazing thing is, 2 weeks later, you and Ricky Villa are on the plane and you're coming to England to sign for Tottenham Hotspur.
Yes.
How did that come about?
Well, it was a funny man called Keith Burkinshaw that suddenly went to Argentina, started to talk to us, and he sold the club to us, and I said yes very quickly, and Ricky followed me, and suddenly we were in England.
And growing up in Argentina, did you know about English football?
Well, of course I knew. Before the 1978 World Cup, we were traveling in Europe and playing different games in France, in Spain, etc., etc.
Yeah.
I wanted them to play in Europe.
Yeah. But as a child, were you influenced at all by English teams? Did you hear about English teams?
Not influenced, but certainly I will know
Who they were, who the big ones
absolutely, Bobby Charlton, Bobby Moore. Of course, I saw the 1966 World Cup, but it was incredible for us to come to England. We were not only the first, we were the first foreigners here. I never thought that we were going to be playing in England, but suddenly we had to make a decision, and we did it, and I'm very happy that we did.
Right, so that must have been a huge culture shock arriving in London. I mean, first of all, socially, never mind playing. I mean, what was it like socially to be here?
It was very difficult, but it was very clever of Burkinshaw to bring two of us, so somehow we help each other. The cultural shock, yes, it was big, but after saying that, we were two, so we were all the time helping each other. And probably the number one problem that we had was the language, trying to communicate with people.
At that stage, did you speak any English?
I studied in Argentina something like 10 years. So, for example, when I arrived in England, I could read a paper, but trying to talk, or when people talk to me and speaking very quickly was very difficult to understand.
The difference are in Argentina 2 wins, and in England no, and in England more mark. More attack is good, and in Argentina the game is not more rapid speed. In England it's more speed.
But I somehow, after 2 or 3 months, I was able to somehow to have a conversation.
So what happened? Did the club send you on classes?
Yes.
language classes?
Yeah, first we have a translator that was following us all the time, but that was for, say, 15 days, 20 days. After that, we said, no, we have to do it in our own. But of course, we had to go to classes and so on.
So, I mean, I can understand that you learn English at these classes, but do you learn football talk? I mean, sometimes, the language that they speak obviously on the pitch isn't obviously always nice language.
Yes.
I mean, is that universal language?
Oh, I understood that very, very quickly indeed. I can assure you.
There was no problem communicating on the pitch. Now, what about the style of play? There you were a World Cup winner, you were coming to play at Spurs. What about the English League?
It was very difficult at the beginning. Basically, Ricky, me, probably Glenn Hoddle, the three of us, we were playing one style. Glenn was very kind of a South American style player. We were playing one style, but the rest of the team was not. So in 78, 79, 80, we have a lot of problems. We were not by any means a very good team.
Does play a very high percentage of attacking passes. Doesn't often go for the safe one.
But suddenly, again, in 1981, everything is starting to get together, and then we're starting to have a very, very good team indeed.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing to have good players around you, which we have in the team anyway, and it can help myself this season. I'm looking forward to it anyway, and even in 2 games, I felt they've helped me a little bit, yes.
Then the good times, yes. 1981, and that cup final. I mean, you don't have to be a Tottenham supporter to appreciate that Ricky Villa goal.
Yes, it was wonderful. We were then starting to have a very good team. Probably our best team ever was in 1982, just after that cup final. And but that was the beginning of everything, this cup final. And well, to win the game, to win in the kind of style that we did, and especially with Ricky's goal, it was something very, very special indeed. I would say, apart from the World Cup final, that was my biggest game ever.
So still Spurs with Ardiles. Brilliant. It his Archibald has got a chance. Good save, Ricky Villa! Ricky Villa scored! And it was made by his fellow Argentine, Ossie Ardiles. Spurs have got 2 to his right, and Galden wants to go on his own. Villa. And still Ricky Villa. What a fantastic run. He scored. Amazing goal by Ricky Villa. Won it in 1961 and now win it in 1981 for the little Argentine and make it 6 wins out of 6.
So everything is going so well. You love Spurs, the Spurs supporters love you. And then there's the outbreak of the Falklands War. How uncomfortable was that for you?
Very. It completely shattered my life. 1982 was so wonderful, starting so wonderful. We played the final of the League Cup, we won the final of the FA Cup, we were involved in Euro, we lost the semi-final against Barcelona, for example. We were doing extremely well in the league. Everything was going incredibly nice. And suddenly, something completely out of my control. It completely shattered my life. It was the worst part of my life, without a shadow of a doubt. Basically, the 2 countries that I love, they were fighting each other. It was terrible. It took me a long time to recover.
So you packed your bags, and did you go home to Argentina?
I went to play in the World Cup in Spain, 1982. I was in Argentina for preparing for the World Cup.
Okay, well, let me ask you, did you go because you were worried about the crowd's reaction and various crowds' reaction around the country to you? Or did you go because you objected to Britain's actions?
No, not at all. It was agreed a long time before between Menotti and Burkinshaw that it was going to be like that. That means they were going to play the semi-final. We did play the semi-final against Leicester, I think, for the FA Cup. We won the semi-final, and the next day I was going to go to Argentina.
For Osvaldo Ardiles, still under contract to Spurs, the hostilities have robbed him of the chance of winning a second cup final medal at Wembley on Saturday. Or perhaps of even playing in England again.
You've obviously been very upset by what has happened.
Well, yes, of course. I think it is, I can say, a crazy war between two countries that could be very, very good friends.
Ardiles would have been regarded a traitor had he stayed to take part in the Wembley Cup final. Now back in Argentina and publicly supporting the stand over the Falklands, he's acclaimed the sporting hero who came home.
Did that war touch your life? Did it affect your life?
It definitely, because I started to make a decision. I was in love with England. I was 1982 was so beautiful that I was thinking, well, I will carry on playing here for years and years and years. But suddenly I went to France, and after that come back, but it was something that completely shattered my life. It was the worst moment in my life.
And what about, I mean, did you know people who died in the Falklands War or were injured?
It was a cousin of mine that died. He was a pilot for Argentina, but I didn't know him personally.
Yes. And what about people's reaction back in Argentina to you playing in England? I mean, were you advised? Were people saying to you, don't go back there?
Of course. Both countries. Somehow, when I talked to the Argentinian press, I had to say nice thing about Argentina and bad things about England. And with the English press, the other way around. It was very, very difficult for me. Basically, at the end of the day, I made my own decision, and I said, well, I was treated as a traitor in Argentina, for example, at that time, for coming back to play in England. But Ricky was carrying on playing in England. And with him, we decided, well, at the end of the day, we are going to try, after the war, making some kind of bridges between England and Argentina, from the football point of view.
So even then, you knew that you were going to renew this love affair with
Yes.
Spurs?
Oh, yeah, definitely. My children wanted to, my wife wanted to, I wanted to. It was obvious that I was going to come back. And this is what I did, and I'm happy that I did that.
And you come back with a bang. European success, 1984, UEFA Cup.
Yes, that was very, very nice indeed, yes. That is, for example, in Argentina after the war, it was no news about England. It was no news in football, for example. And because of us, because Ricky and me, and after that myself only, there were some news. So this is where the wounds of the war started to be healed. So I was very happy when a few years later, for example, there were ambassadors in one country
Yes.
and the other. So normal relationships, I was very happy because somehow I did my little part.
What brought your playing career to an end, Ossie?
When I was playing in 1987, for example, we have another very good team. David Plea was the manager. We went to the final of the FA Cup again. We lost it. I don't know how we lost it, but we did. Somehow, when my career was coming to an end, I was 35, 36, I was thinking that it was going to be very easy for me to say, okay, no more, I will carry on my study of law or do whatever and finish football. But I found it extremely difficult. In fact, I have a bad injury, a broken leg, and then I said, well, this is it, that is the last warning.
Yes.
I am not as quick as I used to be. I am receiving a lot of injuries, so I have to stop. But it was very, very difficult for me. I would say for every player to stop playing football is very difficult.
Yeah. Especially, I suppose, when you set your own standards. As a player, what was your great strength? What were you good at, do you think?
I read quite a lot of things before it happened. So somehow I anticipate things,
Yes.
defensively and going forward as well.
Yeah, you read the game. You then, obviously, using that thinking process, you went into management. Now let's talk about management, because if the move from Argentina to England was a culture shock, I imagine from being a player to a manager was an equally as big culture shock.
It was. Basically, being a manager is a substitute for playing football. Playing football was the most wonderful thing, to come into the pitch. The point is I couldn't come to any pitch and play. I wanted to play in Old Trafford, I wanted to play in White Hart Lane, I wanted to play in Wembley, of course. That was just pure pleasure to play football and to play good. It was wonderful. After that, you don't play football anymore. Somehow you say, well, you wanted this kind of feeling, and the only way to do it is to be a manager. That was one of the most important reasons. Apart from that, I feel that, well, I have a lot of experience, a very unique experience in a lot of ways, so I had to be involved in management.
And you got off to a good start with Swindon.
Yes, it was it was a big challenge in them because no money, no possibility of doing a lot of things. But suddenly we did have a very good team, and we were promoted the first year.
And then there were politics come into play. There were financial irregularities there. There was a betting scandal. There were all sorts of things happening. And you paid the price. This didn't happen under your regime, but the FA then punished the team.
Yes, Swindon paid the price. Of course I did, as well as the manager and all the boys that really they deserve to be in the Premier League, in the first division. Then. It was very hard to take, very, very hard to take. But but all this thing, all these setbacks, and how at the end of the day they help you to be what you are at the end of the day. It was a big setback, no doubt.
Finally, the FA Appeals Tribunal emerged with its verdict. Though the offences had been grave, so too had the original punishment. Swindon would drop not to the third, but to the second division. It was the best they could reasonably have hoped for.
Now we have to start again in the second division, and we are going to prove in the next season that we are able to do it all over again.
Are you hopeful that you will be able to retain most of your players?
I can't see why reason why not.
So you're planning to stay at Swindon?
Yes.
The next challenge for you was Newcastle United, a sleeping giant, if ever there was one there. Why did that not work out for you, do you think?
At the time, I don't want to go into all the detail of Newcastle, but basically there was no money to invest because, again, for political reasons. After that, Mr. Sir John Hall arrived in the club and bring Kevin Keegan a lot of money, and of course, Newcastle is where it should be all the time. To be perfectly honest, I'm pretty proud in what I did in Newcastle because I promoted a lot of the young boys that after that with Kevin play a big part in achieving what they have achieved.
But people said, and there was without doubt, there was that youth policy. You put a big emphasis. You hadn't got the money, so you used the young players. But I remember at the time, I remember working up there as a reporter at the time, and the big criticism against you was saying, yeah, Ossie's brilliant. He's brilliant at going forward. He's great attack-minded, but he hasn't a clue about defence.
I don't agree with that at all. I mean, as a player, for example, in 1981, we have 4 players in midfield, Ricky, Glenn Hoddle, Tony Galvin and me. And I was not really a defensive midfield. I was a creative midfield, this is what I wanted to play and so on. But of the 4 of them, I had to be the more defensive. So I always was aware very, very much of the defensive part of the game. And of course, the number one thing to have a kind of team, you have to have a good balance. You have to be very good attacking, yes, but you have to be very good defending as well. Balance is the main thing. Basically, we did not have the money. I was desperate to have a kind of anchorman in the defense. By definition, it had to be an experienced player, but we didn't have the money to spend, so I had to finish at the end with a lot of the young players that they of course, they did have a wonderful future ahead of them, but at the time, they were not really ready to play in the first division.
Then the roller coaster continued for you. Life was never dull for you, Ossie, because after Newcastle, then it was back to your beloved Tottenham, back there as manager after Terry Venables.
Not exactly. I went to West Bromwich Albion first, and after Newcastle, went to West Brom. Again, we won promotion the first year, and after that, yes, my dream came true, and I went from West Brom to Tottenham. Yes.
The dapper, diminutive figure was instantly recognisable to all Tottenham fans. Ossie Ardiles was indeed to be the man to replace Terry Venables, so acrimoniously ousted by Chairman Alan Sugar after a High Court battle. Ardiles admitted circumstances were far from ideal, but Tottenham was in his blood.
Basically, at the end of the day, I couldn't say no to Tottenham.
Tell me about that political experience. I mean, Terry Venables had gone in very acrimonious circumstances. Alan Sugar, as you know, was the man in charge. So what was the mood like there?
I was loved by Tottenham, of course. I spent 10 years there as a player and so on. But politics were so bad that I didn't have a period of honeymoon, say, with the supporters of Tottenham because, again, the political situation between Alan Sugar and Terry Venables were so great. I did not want it to be involved. As I said to you before, I am not a political animal. I wanted to be in charge of players, to have a good team. I was desperate to do that. Tottenham was my dream all the time. If they offer me Real Madrid or anything, I would say no. I wanted to be manager of Tottenham. And I have to say it was an honor and a privilege to be player and manager of Tottenham. Very few people have this in their life.
But then it must have hurt doubly. It must have been even more painful, the fact that you couldn't bring success to them.
Of course, yes. I was desperate for success in Tottenham, but it didn't happen. I wish, I mean, I always think back what should I have done better and so on. And of course I make a lot of mistakes and I'm wiser because of that. But basically what I couldn't confront, what I couldn't realize was that the political problem was huge. And so it was very hard. I would love to be involved in, say, be manager of Tottenham and just work with the players, have a good team, etc. But where I failed, basically, was in all the other things, not connected with football.
Well, in fairness to you, it didn't work with you. It didn't work with Jerry Francis, who followed you. It didn't work with our Swiss friend, Christian Gross, after that. And now, though, finally, it does seem to be clicking with George Graham.
Certainly. Tottenham at the moment doesn't have a team to compete with the best team in England, no. But for example, to win the cup, if they can win the League Cup right now, they have a big chance in the FA Cup as well. That could be the springboard for much bigger things. If suddenly Tottenham, for example, is in Europe next year, it will be wonderful. Suddenly you have more money to spend, better players to come. It could be the starting of something very important.
Ossie, you speak there with a passion and an enthusiasm, and yet you're not involved in the game in this country at the moment. I'm sure people are wondering, well, where has he been for the past few years?
I have been in Japan the last 3 years. You were talking about cultural shock before. Well, that was a very big cultural shock. If coming from Argentina to England, of course it was, but from England or from the Occident, from the West to Japan, that was a big cultural shock. And it has been wonderful, I have to say. Of course, when things go well in the football part, everything else is much better. So I have been in Japan in the last 3 years. I just resigned in December. At the moment, I enjoy myself, trying to improve my golf and waiting to see the next opportunity, the next challenge in England or in Europe, generally speaking.
So what would your ambition then be, Ossie, in the management stakes? I mean, how high do you want to go? I
wanted to be as high as possible. I believe as a player I achieved quite a lot of things. Well, as a manager I wanted to be even better if I can. I know that after the Tottenham experience I have to somehow start again, and this is what I am doing. I think I did learn a lot of things in Japan. I believe that I'm much better prepared as a manager now than before, experience basically. And now I'm looking for a next challenge. I really wanted to do something now, and at the end of the day achieve the maximum possible to be the manager of the bigger club in the earth or national team, etc.
Well, Osvaldo Cesar Ardiles, it's been lovely talking to you. Thank you
very much.
Indeed. Good luck for the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.